Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and yeah, maybe a little bit of transfer news I suppose, but yabba dabba doo. Manchester United are back playing, that's got to be something to celebrate this Sunday morning. Can't wait for that, and we've got a game on Thursday. This is what we're here for. We're here to watch football. Can't wait for that. But we've got loads of news to get into on the morning show. Erik ten Hag's talking about a new contract. Berardi has given his first interview and we've got a few quotes in relation to that. Also, more detail comes out around the Marcus Rashford story. Will that shift your opinion? The timeline is basically confirmed. And also, something I didn't talk about on the show last night because it had to get pushed because of what we were talking about last night, around an article in the Telegraph about a three-man shortlist if Erik ten Hag gets replaced. Interesting that Thomas Tuchel is on there. So we'll talk about that as well. It's a news show. It's the best news show. It's the best because of you. And we've got loads to get into. I'm a little bit early this morning, Adrian, because I'm off to watch Seb play football. My little Harry Maguire, number 5. So he's kicking off at a time that meant I couldn't do the normal 10. So yeah, off to watch him down the road, which would be good. Looking forward to that. But look, let's get into the United news. And look, there's a few places I want to talk about. I really like this quote from Omar Berardi, by the way, because I think it's not rocket science, but it's something that United need to do. You know, I was listening to Roy Keane the other day talking in an interview about advice he'd give to players, and it was like control, pass, move. And you know what? I watch a lot of football. I watch high-end football. I watch amateur football. And the amount of players that just don't do this, you know, the Mbappe project of I've got to take loads of players on. It's infuriating at an amateur level to watch, you know, youngsters play football and they're just obsessed with Mbappe and scoring goals and everything like that. And you just think, you know, control, pass, move. It's so bloody simple. And there are so many things about football that are very, very simple. And what Berardi says about transfers, well, I'll read it here because we're going to go to it in a little moment. But well, I won't read you the quote. We'll go to it in a little moment. But he's basically talking about how you have to get the transfer right. You have to get the first transfer right, because if you get it wrong, if there's any element of a transfer that's wrong, wages, fee, agent fee, you're going to get done on the next transfer and the next transfer and the next transfer. And it's, you know, we've been talking about it for years. It's so obvious. Anyway, look, let's talk about Ten Hag. The reason Ten Hag's been talking about his contract, he hasn't woken up and just gone, hello, I want a new contract. Of course, he did a press conference on Friday. We've not had a game for so long that we forget how this works. So the press conference is split into two. There's an embargoed bit that comes out at 10:30 the night before Man United play. So 10:30 last night, some quotes came out from the Erik ten Hag press conference that didn't come out on Friday. And he's been talking about his contract. Now, he's got 18 months left on his contract. Now, this is why I think some Ten Hag outers get excited as well, because they're going, oh, well, look, he's only got 18 months left on his contract. What a good time to get rid of him. Get rid of him in the summer. You can't let him go into the final year of his deal without giving him a new contract. So I agree about this. A decision has to be made about Erik ten Hag by the summer, one way or another. Even if he was doing well, they'd have to make a decision because, you know, his contract's going to run out. So this is what Erik ten Hag had to say on having 18 months left on his contract, and if he's considering a new one. He said, we've spoken about many subjects, but I can't go into detail on any subjects, especially when it's going into my personal details at the club. But first and foremost, and the most important thing is that it's about the club. It's about the club, it's about the team, and we have to work there on the highest standards to achieve our targets. It's not about any individual person. Asked if he's got to prove himself to Ineos, he said, look, when you're in top football, I think you will know you have to prove yourself every single day. And so that counts for everyone here working for this football club. Look, is he going to get a new contract? Absolutely breaking news. Nobody knows. It's breaking news. Even Laurie Whitwell doesn't know this. Fabrizio doesn't know this. Simon Stone doesn't know this. Nobody knows this. He was quite close to a contract at the start of the season. That's well known in the industry. Ten Hag was very close to getting a new contract at the start of the season, and I don't think anybody would have opposed it then. I don't know why it didn't progress. I don't know whether it was because of the sale. I mean, I can't imagine Ineos or Qatar saying don't give him a new contract at the start of the season because, you know, Ten Hag ball was bouncing high then. Maybe the Glazers just didn't want to spend any money when they were trying to sell the club. I don't know. But where we are at the moment, that contract isn't something that's... And United do sometimes sit on contracts and they wait for a good time to announce it. We've had it in the past with certain players that we know they've got a contract and they wait until they start scoring. So, you know, I wouldn't rule out that Ten Hag's got one, but I don't think he has. I think that this is very much a wait and see. AJ says, what about Xavi? Xavi can't deal with the pressure of Barcelona by the sounds of it. I don't think he can deal with the pressure of Manchester United. Klopp's never going to come. I suppose this feeds into nicely, just on this, I'll segue in what I was going to talk about last night, because it works quite well, and then we can talk about Rashford and Berardi and the new stories there. But basically, there was an article in the Telegraph. Can I just say as well, you know, I think I'm safe to say this with you lot because you do have a sense of humour. The title of the show today is Ten Hag Talks New Deal. That's fine. We're talking about what Ten Hag said. He was speaking about a new deal. No one can say clickbait. Rashford headache continues. He's not still hungover, as someone said in the chat. I mean, what that means is the Rashford headache continues, the drama. Somebody in the chat before we went live said he can't still be hungover. Nobody knows if he was hungover. So the Rashford headache thing, I don't want to get in trouble for spreading malicious rumours or anything like that, which we didn't do in the first place. So the Rashford headache continues is more, you know, the whole another player missing training, etc., etc. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. There was an article in the Telegraph where somebody just said, is this AI generated? It feels like AI Bridge, getting his words wrong, actually. But yeah, what was going to talk about, and I meant to talk about this last night, is that there was an article in the Telegraph with Matt Law, who's a pretty decent journalist, saying that Man United have a 3-man shortlist for the Manchester United job, which is De Zerbi, Graham Potter, and Thomas Tuchel. I throw that out to you. It's not from the club, it's not from a source, it's from the Telegraph in the UK, which is a decent outlet, from a decent journalist saying that United shortlisted De Zerbi, Tuchel and Graham Potter. What I would say about those straight away is I don't think Barcelona are going to be looking at any of those managers. So Xavi leaving Barcelona shouldn't make us go, shit, we need to sack Ten Hag. Do Liverpool look at any of those managers? I don't think Liverpool will go for a German coach again, straight after Klopp, and I don't think they'd go for Tuchel. They might go for De Zerbi, but I don't think they will. So, look, those 3 managers, for me, are not managers that are going to be going to Liverpool or Barcelona. So we don't need to massively rush. My concern is, are they the sort of managers that you want at Manchester United? I've spoken about Graham Potter. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a Man United coach. De Zerbi, I have concerns about De Zerbi. I was talking about this on That's Football yesterday about a replacement for Klopp. The thing about De Zerbi is he's openly said he's not really involved in transfers. The players are given to him, and Brighton's not Manchester United or Liverpool. So, you know, is De Zerbi just another hipster that's, you know, look at what happened to Potter when he went to Chelsea. And then finally, Thomas Tuchel. Well, Thomas Tuchel is a good coach, but I'm a bit uncomfortable with that because it's another ex-Chelsea coach, and that's not gone well for us either. So I personally don't massively jump to the tune of any of those coaches, really. I mean, I know a lot of you will because it's better than what we have at the moment, but that is not, you know, when Van Gaal was here and Mourinho was available, I was like, you've got to do that deal. You know, I wanted Ten Hag over Poch. You know, I even wanted Van Gaal after Moyes. But I don't really warm to any manager at the moment. It's not, you know, I'm Ten Hag in. That probably, you know, blinds me a little bit. But I don't, maybe it's just the monotony of the cycle that, you know, you feel like a bloody trainer that's been left in the washing machine, don't you? Just banging the sides, going round and round and round. I don't really have this opinion anymore that a manager's going to revolutionise Manchester United. I think I did with Ten Hag. I think I did with Mourinho. But I think we've done it so many times now. I think we've done every type of manager, the experienced manager, the hipster manager, the young manager. I just don't really feel that. I think we need to sort everything out above the manager right now. That's what we need to do. And I'm really hoping that the team starting from today is going to start kicking on now that we've got some big players back. I'm hoping that we're going to see Casemiro, Martinez and a system and a structure that works well. And actually, you know, dare I say it, looking at the chat, you know, A lot of us don't think McTominay should be starting. Some of you don't think Rashford should be starting. The starting 11 today won't have Rashford in it and might not even have McTominay in it. We might actually see an 11 that is Bayinda, Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Mainu, Casemiro, Bruno, Garnacho, Højlund, and either Anthony or Ahmad. You know, it might actually be quite easy on the eye today. I mean, I'm sure he'll make a few changes. We might see Maguire start. We might see McTominay start. But, you know, it's an opportunity to... If I was Ten Hag, I'd put my best team out for an hour. If I was Ten Hag today, I'd put my best team out for an hour because it's the best way to deal with any of the negativity and the uncertainty. It's almost like we've had a bit of a mid-season break, isn't it? But yeah, look, on Erik Ten Hag, the contract obviously is there to be discussed. But I think it will come down to what happens with results over the next few weeks. I want to talk about what Berard has said, but let me just give you the latest on Marcus Rashford. Big video. We were live last night when this came out that Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic and his colleagues had confirmed that Marcus Rashford was out on Thursday night. He wasn't out on Wednesday night. Manchester United obviously had training at Carrington on Friday morning, and Marcus Rashford was in a Belfast nightclub in the early hours of that morning. So, you know, not acceptable. I just want to say on this really obvious point here. When I saw Erik Ten Hag's press conference on Friday and he said that Marcus Rashford and Johnny Evans were ill, I take that on safe value that they're ill, and I automatically think, you know, January in the UK, it's probably a chest infection or a cold or some sort of, you know, that sort of an illness. This has been going round Manchester United for 2 months. Rashford's already had it. Varane's had it. Martial's had it. We've had this illness thing going around Old Trafford and Carrington for 2 months. This is high level sport. This is people lose their job. They don't get a contract. So you don't get a win bonus. Millions of fans are disappointed because you lose or you draw. At some point, Man United, and I'm pretty sure Sir David Brailsford will implement this, at some point, Manchester United have got to start acting like a big fucking football club. And what I mean by that is, so many people are getting their knickers in a twist about a player being in a nightclub the night before training. What you've also got to think about is, you're a professional athlete. Going into a nightclub, or a pub, or even a restaurant, where there's hundreds of other people, exposes your body, which is, you know, meant to be a well-run machine. It's like a Formula One car. It exposes you to the fumes and germs of a load of people that actually, during the season, maybe you should avoid. Like, we've had so many people ill recently, and I know you can't say to a player, don't go out to a club, don't go out to a pub, but you can educate. You can educate these players and say, look, the standards at this football club is I want you to be available every week, unless you've got a footballing injury. And if you're not available because you picked up an illness, you're on 100, 200, 300,000 pounds a week. Where have you picked it up from? What have you been doing to go out and pick up a cold or a cough? Now, if it's from your kid who's been at school, fine. But people say, well, you can't micromanage like that. Other clubs do. Other sports do. Like, you wouldn't believe what some athletes do to avoid picking up an illness. You know, marathon runners and people like that. So, look, you can take it as low or as high as you want. What I'm saying, if you want sporting excellence and you want high-end mentality and you want the best players on the pitch each week, these things are part of that. And I'll tell you for free, cycling, Sir David Brailsford, if he brings this in, he will be looking at exactly stuff like that. I think people get lost on the fact that a player might be in a nightclub. They might be in a nightclub having a lime and soda with no drink, with no alcohol in it, but they're still surrounded in a not very well ventilated room by hundreds of other people the day before they train, a couple of days before they've got a match. If they pick up an illness, they go into Carrington and they pass it round. If they weren't in that nightclub or pub, that doesn't go round. And this has been at Old Trafford for a long time. This has been going on. We need to look at this sort of stuff. It's not just being in a club the night before training. It's also how you conduct yourself in your private life. Like, you're a professional athlete earning more money than most athletes earn in any sport. And we need that professionalism. The attitudes of attitudes and behaviours are not acceptable at Manchester United. I think we can all agree on that. Anyway, the timeline of Rashford's case: Wednesday, Man United had training. Wednesday night, he's in Belfast. He's out. Thursday is a day off. Thursday night, he's in a club in Belfast. Friday morning, Carrington training. I think the slippage here is Wednesday he was at training. Wednesday night he's in Belfast, that's fine. Thursday he's in Belfast, that's fine. Get yourself back for Thursday night so you get back for training. The issue is, why are you in a nightclub on Thursday night when you've got training on Friday morning? Apparently he took a private jet in the early hours of Thursday morning back to Manchester and then skipped training. But that's the problem. You know, that's the timeline. We can all dance around, but timeline is Wednesday training in Carrington, Thursday day off, Wednesday night was out in Belfast, Thursday night's out in Belfast, Friday morning Mrs. Training Carrington. So that's where we are with it. Hoping for a big win today, says Shawnee Devil. Morning, Mark. Morale boosting performance needed today ahead of a tough run. Exactly, Dara. Barada coming to us is a precursor to City betting some sort of penalty by the league. What is your opinion on this matter, says Karen? I don't know. I think that's speculation. With managers going soon or not far off, vital to keep Ten Hag. He's the right guy. No matter how bad it gets, he needs another year. Watching from Gloucester, says Shaka Phillips. Hope you're doing well. I'd rather we play Anthony in poor form than Rashford in poor attitude, says Dan the Man. I'm not anti-Rashford, but we need to show strength. Focus on Garnacho, Ahmad, Pellistri, risky, but it shows who's in charge. And do you think Eric Ten Hag will go to Barca? Also, would love to see a video on the under-18s team, says Wayne. And hope all is well. Keep up the good work, says Dan the Man. Thank you very much for that. Look, it's going to be very interesting what he does with the wingers today. I don't think Mason Mount's back again. I mean, we might go back to stupid times of putting Bruno on the wing and playing Mount at number 10, which I don't want. I'd rather play Rashford, so I don't want to see that happen. But look, taking it away from... I've read all sorts over the last 12 hours. I've had all sorts of messages, some credible, some not. Some people are saying Rashford's just anti-Ten Hag and wants him out and can't be arsed. Some people are saying, I think there's a bigger issue with Rashford here, maybe around, how he's feeling as a person. Some people are saying he's angling for a move. Some people are saying it's not that big. I'm sure we're going to have something come out from Manchester United, and I'm guaranteeing you Eric Ten Hag's going to get asked about it again. It's a bit like when he got dropped from Wolves, isn't it? But let me just remind you what is a direct quote from Eric Ten Hag back in the days after we got beat by Man City in the autumn. We got beat 3-0 by Man City on the Sunday, and on that night, Marcus Rashford was out at a club in Manchester celebrating his 26th birthday. I believe Man United might have had training the next day, but either way, Eric Ten Hag was spoken about it, and he said it's unacceptable. It was unacceptable for Marcus Rashford to be doing that. So he's had one... This is what some people are saying. He's had one public dressing down already from this manager for being in a club after a game, and Ten Hag said it was unacceptable after a game. I don't know whether it's unacceptable to be in a nightclub after a game. It depends if you're in training the next day, because some managers, when you lose, want you in training the next day. But look, Ten Hag is the boss, and he said it was unacceptable that he was out in a nightclub after the Man City loss. So he's already once had it. We can all speculate about what Ten Hag's going to do, but he's already once this season publicly told him off. Well, he's now in a nightclub the night before training, which is worse. Out after a match or out before training. So look, over to Ten Hag. He's got to answer the question. He was more than happy to answer the question when we lost to Arsenal about why Sancho wasn't in the squad. I'm a fan of Ten Hag. I want him to do well, but he's got to do something here. And as I said, some people say, Laurie Whitwell will never get an interview with Marcus Rashford again. I think he will. What's Laurie Whitwell done? He's just told the bloody truth. He's a journalist. So I think that there has to be a response from Ten Hag about this. There has to be a response from Rashford from this. I think he'll probably play against Wolves, because I don't think we're going to see... Rashford's got more in the bank than Sancho. Rashford actually was Player of the Year last year. So I think he'll bounce back and have a point to prove. But, there has to be a response. You can't just sweep it under the carpet. Rashford shushed the critics after scoring last game too, says Stephen. Yeah. Well, I wasn't very comfortable with that anyway, because that's doing it to your own fans. I think that was, let's just put that down to naivety and heat of the moment. But, I don't think anyone felt that they were shushed because of one goal against Spurs. And the thing is, if you're going to shush people, then you need to back it up consistently. The big word at United is consistency, isn't it? After the whole Rashford ordeal, looking at new wingers isn't far off. Nico Williams, I feel, could be a great option, says Sinu. And do you think Sancho has had an influence on Rashford's mentality, says Josh? I don't know. I don't know Marcus Rashford. I don't know his entourage, his people around him. I don't know what his lifestyle's like. People send me stuff, people tell me stuff, but on the one hand, it's great, and on the other hand, it's not. And you just go, well, I'll stick to the evidence. I don't know what Rashford's like. I don't know what he's like off the pitch. And I think it's always unfair to paint a picture of somebody that, you don't have the facts about. We can only follow the evidence, can't we? Sorry, Mark, but until Man United sort out the mentality problem, throwing players like Elise into the problem doesn't address the clear issue, says Akash. Is Ahmad available for today, says Sultan. Yes, he is. And Tamas, welcome to the Members Club, you absolute legend. Thanks for supporting the channel and joining the club and getting your badge in. Really appreciate that. Let me just talk to you about a quote from the man that is our new CEO. He's given an interview to the Financial Times, and whilst there's quite a lot in that, I just wanted to, I know it's match day. This is probably something more for tomorrow or in the week, but I just wanted to drop you this comment. So this is from Omar Barada. He says, you need a very solid rationale as to why you're offering the fee, the salary and the commission. Once you start overpaying, you lose that argument, and that puts you in a much more difficult position for the next one. So what he's basically saying here is, when you are doing a transaction to buy a player or even renew a player's contract, you need to have a strong rationale as to why you're paying that wage, why you're paying that salary, why you're paying that commission, why you're paying that transfer fee. And if you don't, and you overpay, you lose, and that puts you in a difficult position for the next deal that you do. I mean, look, this is not rocket science. This is absolute common sense. And it's something that we've been talking about on this community for years and years and years and years. But that now, it looks like we've got a CEO that actually gets it. The snowball effect of going to Juventus and saying, here's 89 million for Pogba, overpaid. Here's a ridiculous wage, overpaid. Mino Raiola, there's tens of millions of pounds, overpaid. The minute you do that, the next deal you do, Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Jadon Sancho, Bruno Fernandes, like all these deals that come after Pogba, snowball on reputation of, do you know how much I earned out of Man United? Do you know how much I earned out of Man United? You know how much we got out of Man United? And this is what Barada's talking about, and you lot have been talking about it for years. It's absolutely ridiculous how we've just snowballed for years and years into paying. I mean, look at the Antony deal. Antony, as a player, leave him alone. But it's the same with Harry Maguire as well. Leave the player alone. It's not their fault. But £80 million for Harry Maguire, 190 grand a week. £80 million for Antony, 200 grand a week. They're not 200 grand a week players, and they're not £80 million players. And God knows what their agents got. Those two deals are not standouts. They are the norm. Tens of millions of pounds hemorrhaging out the football club. I mean, what United are doing, when you're doing a transfer fee, this is like open heart surgery. You know, you need the tools, you need the assistants, you need precision, you've got to get it all done. What United do on a transfer is get a plaster, whack it on, blood everywhere, you know, and it's leaking out for ages. They don't know what they're doing. You know, they don't know what they're doing. And look, let's take Maguire's deal for instance. We never should have paid any more than 60. 60 should have been the limit. We never should have given him any more than 140. Well, I say it straight away, that's 50 grand a week saved, and it's 20 million pounds saved. I don't know what the agent fees. I can't argue on that. Antony, we never should have gone up with 55 million. We went up by another 25. We never should have given him any more than 140. We're giving him 200 grand a week. You know, it's ridiculous amounts of money hemorrhaging out the football club. And this is why I'm really encouraged. Look, there's many aspects to what I think Barada can do with Ineos and everybody else. But this has to stop. This will make such a difference to the football club, because if you go back to that Antony deal, if we paid a proper price, Cody Gakpo would be wearing a Man United shirt. And we'd have got him that summer. We wanted Gakpo from PSV in that summer and the money ran out. And the money ran out because we threw it around that summer. We overpaid for Martinez. I love Martinez, but we overpaid. We paid £45 million with add-ons. Too much money for an Ajax centre-back. Ridiculous amounts of money. Not even an Argentinian starter. So, you know, we've overpaid for a very long time, and it really encourages me what Barada said. Jim Sullivan says, is welcome to the new members club. Thank you very much, Jim. Legend. Get your badge in. We should be putting out our under-18 team, 13 wins of 13 games, 42 goals, 7 against, says Ronald. Yeah, well, we shouldn't be doing that, but big shout out to them. City walk away from overpriced deals because they can recruit similar profiles. We get desperate and pay up, says DK. Yeah, United back themselves into a corner. You've got to ask why we do it, and it's because there's no plan B. You've got to ask why we do it, because the manager probably says, I want that player, the alternative is terrible. So United just go all in and leave them. I mean, look, I remember last summer when we were talking about pulling out of the Mason Mount deal, and it was like, we're not going to pull out of the Mason Mount deal. We're just trying to pretend that we're going to pull out of the Mason Mount deal, and we didn't pull out of it. We didn't pull out of it at all. You should. Man City will do it. Man United need to start doing it. Stop obsessing over one player. Have 3 players that you want. You can have a preference. Have 3 players that you want, but if you don't get the number 1 target, the number 2 target will do. United don't do that. They make it very obvious they're obsessed with one deal, and they end up paying silly money for it. Ronaldo would never cry like behaviour, something like Rashford, says Tracy. Thank you very much. DJ says, all these deals, DJ is one of our members actually, Sanchez, Jones, Martial, it reeks of incompetence. So Jim and Ineos hopefully know what they're doing, but it will take time to sort it out. And we'll save a lot of money. You know, I actually think Manchester United would be, it's hard to put a figure on it, but you know how we're screwed with financial fair play. If you look at how many bad deals we've done over the last 10 years, or even over the last 5 years, you're talking tens of millions of pounds a year better off. Tens of millions of pounds a year better off. Tens of millions of pounds a year that you could use on transfers. I wouldn't even dare to put a figure on it, but you know, tens of millions of pounds better off that we're spending on overpriced players, overinflated wages, agent fees that are all locked into our FFP now. You know, that's the sad thing. It's all locked into FFP, and it will take a few years to get rid of it. Let's make a statement. Sale and offload Rashford, says Wayne. Well, it would be pure profit, as I said last night, but I don't know that United will do it, if I'm being completely honest. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Don't forget, we've got the return of Van Cam. Kev will be previewing the game from his van, as per usual. That's going to come out at lunchtime. And we've got countdown to kickoffs back as well at 3. We've got the fan forum after the game. We've got my match reaction, and of course we've got my watch-alongs. I'm just very excited to have Manchester United back playing. The drama will continue. I'm sure we'll talk more about Barada's interview in the week, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about Marcus Rashford as well. But personally, I'm just looking forward to the game and hopefully the start of a good run of fixtures, because you know what? After 2 weeks off, I'm ready for Newport. I'm ready for Thursday against Wolves. I'm ready for West Ham next Sunday. 3 big games. Let's go get it. Thanks everyone for watching it. Legends as always. Have a good day until I see you in a bit. Take care. Smash a like, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.